nothing about the communities in Northern Ireland, know nothing about the history of Northern Ireland, to take actions that they otherwise would not take. Stop looking at this nonsense. Stop listening to these idiots. We will be going after them for the incitement that they've been doing. Everybody, please, think about what happened last night and the terror that you caused to innocent families. A young family with a 2-month-old baby being evacuated. Let's just think about the society we want to live in. Let's stop that. Let's stop it.
You're going to follow up on people inciting online?
Yes.
Who are you talking about?
I'm not talking about individuals in this press conference, but people will know who were online last night and inciting this behaviour. They will know what they were doing, and we will be going after them. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the people that we will be investigating, as we did last year, and we prosecuted those individuals successfully. And that will happen again. There are consequences to what people do that lead to the actions that we saw last night. And the police will ensure that those consequences are carried through. I promise you that.
PA? For Chief Constable, there was pressure in the wake of the attack in Southport and the subsequent riots that police should be releasing more information early.
Yeah.
The police did put out a lot of information about the suspect in this case, yet we still saw the events that we saw last night. So moving forward, do you think that will still be the correct approach when it seems to have had little or no effect? And for the Secretary of State, there has been concerns raised about the common travel area, especially for people that have seen the video of that attack and its graphic nature. Questions are inevitably going to be asked here about the asylum vetting process and how someone could come to legally be here who has the proclivity to carry out that level of barbarity and that attack. So how are you going to sort of examine that process to make sure that it's fit for purpose?
If I start with the information issue, so we learned from Southport through reviews that were taken after it occurred that there is a need, there is an expectation that where we have information it should be released. And I am an advocate for transparency, I'm an advocate for candour, people know that from Northern Ireland. When you don't give information out, especially in this toxic online environment, people fill it with misinformation and nonsense.
Yeah.
What we should always do is be honest about what we find, and that's what we did yesterday. And by the way, those communities that were attacked last night, some were from ethnic minority backgrounds, many were not. Didn't just target ethnic minority groups, they just didn't target communities, they targeted Northern Ireland, they targeted society. We have got to stand up to this. We have got to stop this happening. And I just want to remind them of this. We now put the images out of those people involved in this disorder for everyone to see. So we identify them, then put their images out when we successfully convey images out there to reflect the sort of behaviour that we saw last night. I suggest, and we will being honest.
Questioning the suspect will be seeking to find out more about him and the circumstances. It doesn't necessarily follow that someone's previous history is going to enable you to hard to see how you can operate. Which attempts to anticipate what somebody might do. We don't know the full circumstances, but we saw the horrific consequences in the video, the horrific video that was shared online and which has caused such outrage and such. Of course, we must reflect on the circumstances and we must continue to carry on with that strong cooperation between the UK authorities and the Irish authorities in seeking to deal with illegal migration across the common travel area. But the answer is not to say the common travel area is the problem. It has given great benefit to many, many people over a very long period of time, living in Northern Ireland, living in Ireland, living in the rest of the United Kingdom.
RTE?
Chief Constable, can you talk to me about the nature of the injuries sustained by the two police officers, and do we know of the people that had to flee their homes this night, that any of those people sustained injuries? And Secretary of State, can you talk to me about your discussion with Minister Helen McEntee and the questions that you had for her?
So with regards to police officers, we had one officer who was injured yesterday whilst directing traffic away from one of the pockets of disorder, and he was hit with debris on the head. He's okay. The second officer suffered smoke inhalation when a petrol bomb exploded near him and went under his snoot and had to be taken to hospital. You might recall we had 97 police officers injured last year. I again just want to pay tribute to this organisation that I lead. Every day they turn up to do a job that most people could not and would not do. Thankfully last night, with regards to the people that we evacuated from those houses, there were no injuries. It was to protect life. For unacceptable scenes last night.
I called Minister McEntee last night because I was keen to brief her on what had happened, how the suspect arrived in Northern Ireland, and which had been asked today, and there will be questions too to the authorities in Ireland about what they know about the individual, because all of it is right.
Protected. Do you believe that there is any organisation involved, any paramilitary or criminal gangs organising, helping organise this violence? And Secretary of State, can I also say we're talking about people who have used online platforms to try and advertise these protests and bring people onto the streets. There was also some disinformation from Northern Ireland who are exploiting situations.
With the need to reassure our communities, with probably 40 community leaders. Last night, I think the last call I made to a community leader was at around about midnight. Okay. In the last couple of years, we've built up an incredibly trusting relationship with our ethnic minority communities. One that actually, I think, is a benchmark for policing. And repeatedly, when I speak to those community leaders and I visit those communities, they're repeatedly doing. Last time, people were saying that the PSNI was saving lives. Now, that's extraordinary, that in the light of the attacks that they're facing, they take the time and have the grace to thank us for what we're doing, when they're facing unimaginable intimidation. We've got tomorrow of which more, because of the funding challenges, will be out and about speaking to those communities and reassuring them today. Your question about paramilitarism, we addressed involvement of paramilitary, but let's get the investigation underway.
Ireland are being, because of the colour of their skin, should sicken every right-thinking citizen of the United Kingdom. And I'm afraid we have seen it before. When targeted because of who owned them and ran them. Disorder last year, the same thing happened, and it what does this say about Northern Ireland? People who have come to this country is a particular what many leaders have said in a piece say, because I did in the House of Commons when a reference was made to say Sudan, there's probably an operating Kingdom as we stand here this morning saving somebody's life, and we need to think carefully about our language and not to that we saw. People are absolutely right to be concerned about the terrible attack on Mr. Ogilvy. They have an peacefully. They have no right to do so much damage to.
Secretary of State, the Education Authority has said it's up to individual schools whether to close or not. Do you think that's the right approach after last night's arrest? And to the Chief Constable, what are your plans, I know you touched on some of them, to address misinformation circulating online about the suspect? Night's arrest message to those who have lost trust in the service.
I would say that it is obviously for individual schools to take those decisions depending on the circumstances, how they judge them, what may have happened in their area last night, what may not have happened in their area last night, but of course to take account of any guidance that is given by the authorities, including what the Chief Constable said a moment ago. John.
So your experience isn't my experience, and I'm out in those communities all the time, and they've literally all got my phone number. We've got an incredible strategic engagement team here. This organisation, for the numbers it's got, completely punches above its weight. We have reset our relationship with those communities in the past couple of years. So I would challenge what you've said to me. And I want to remind you that, and it was in Ballymena last year that I met a family. In fact, there was a fire officer present who said, you need to know, in fact the Secretary of State was there when we had this conversation, your officers saved lives last night.
Absolutely.
And that's what these officers do day and daily. And it's the wider emergency services. Northern Ireland, and I have to say for the people watching this press conference, is an incredible place. It's a place that people should invest in. It's a place people should visit. It's a place, by the way, that's one of the safest places in the United Kingdom. Just think about what we saw last night. But statistically around crime, it's one of the safest places to visit in the United Kingdom. We've got to get that back. And we've got to stop what we saw last night. And that's incumbent on all of us. Okay.
Last question, Claire FM.
Chief Constable, you've already mentioned getting mutual aid and your repeated concerns about resources. Can you confirm if PSNI officers have been put on mandatory overtime, how that works? And to the Secretary of State, we saw posters on social media circulating last night, and Tommy Robinson's comments as well, calling for protests in England. How concerned are you that this will spill over into the rest of the UK?
Well, I saw those posters yesterday evening. I am not aware, and I haven't seen any reports in the media of very much remains the case. And I pay tribute myself personally to the bravery and the compassion of the officers of the PSNI, because I know from discussions I've had last time in Ballymena and before that in Belfast, and the officers the very best of the best. And I would echo what John just said about the role that they have played last night, but previously, in saving people's lives from these thugs who think this is an acceptable way to behave. It is. They're putting great pressure as charred and is seeking to bring people
they do well. Expect to do. A decision others don't have to take on the island of Ireland or in the wider United Kingdom because of the threat to officers here. They are a very, very special group of people. And recently, some of you will have seen, there's a documentary we've done called Peelers, the PSNI for Real. These are ordinary members of our communities who decide to join the police service job.
Yeah.
And we okay. Thank you.
John, do you want me to take that?
No, that's fine. That's
I'll move on.
Yeah, I think let's go decamp and set up. They're on P and Qs. Okay.
I know. Well, hopefully not very much.
Let's get the car.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Connor, is everything okay with that pressure? Yeah.
Yes, how are you? So Liam, you're okay, you're gonna...
I'm asking you.
And that's why I'm standing back. Yeah. Oh yes. Thank you.